Okay, so what I'm going to be talking about is how to create happy, productive workplaces. Okay, and I'm going to give you 3 tips by the end of my session. We often get our clients come to us and say, can you build resilience or can you build happiness for our staff? And we often don't do it because if they have a toxic workplace, if they have managers who micromanage, then unless they allow us to work with those people, we won't work with the frontline staff about getting resilience in a toxic culture. Our core principle at Happy is that people work best when they feel good about themselves. Hands up if you'd agree with that. Okay, so what should be the basis of leadership in an organisation if that's the core focus? Anybody?
Enabling people to feel good about themselves.
Enabling people to feel good about themselves. Hands up if in your organisation the leadership is focused on getting people to feel good about themselves. Oh, that's more than I get normally. But that is key. As I think you said, in the best workplace lists, have been going for 25 years or more, right? And there have been people that have done research on whether those best workplaces are more productive, are more profitable, have a better stock market value. This piece of research is over 17 years, looked at the stock market value of the best workplace companies and compared it to the other to the standard S&P. It wasn't 50% above, it wasn't 100% above, it was 3 times the value of the standard S&P for the great workplaces. That's a real financial difference. Okay, so let me ask you a question now. I'd like you to think about one time when you're really proud of the results of your work. Okay, hopefully you've got lots of them, but just think of one specific time when you're really proud of the results of your work. Have you got one? Okay. Was it a time when you were really well paid? Anybody? No? Was it a time when communication with your manager was particularly strong? Anybody? Was it a time when you were challenged? Yeah, there's a lot there. Was it a time when you were trusted and given freedom to make your own decisions? Yeah? Okay, that's what enables people to be happy in a way. Would you like me to give you an example of how to give people more trust? Okay, so do any of you ask people to go away and come up with a solution to a problem and bring it back for approval? Do people do that ever? Okay, I'd ask you to stop that. I'd ask you to instead approve the solution before they've thought of it. Okay, do you want me to just explain that a little bit? Let me first of all ask you a question. Do you like, of 3 things, do you like to be told what to do, complete freedom, or freedom within guidelines? Who likes to be told what to do? No? Who likes complete freedom? There's always some anarchists in the room. Yes, absolutely, particularly among entrepreneurs. Who likes freedom within guidelines? Okay. Normally, when you get people who aren't entrepreneurs, you get 90% on the freedom within guidelines, because people like to have that framework. They don't like to have complete freedom. They like to have that framework, but within that to have freedom. So some years ago, we're a training company. One of our trainers sent me an email saying, "I love the 3 things you've done that make things really easy to help the customer." And I looked at the 3 things and I realised I didn't know they'd happen. Right? But then when I looked at them again, I realised that 2 of those 3 things I wouldn't have approved. Right? And so it was clearly had a good impact. So I decided then that I would stop things coming across my desk. I would give people freedom within guidelines. So we had, in the early days of our website, I would be very involved. I would say, we need this, we need that, we need that. So the person in charge of the website never really felt in charge of the website. Has anybody been in that kind of situation? Yeah, absolutely. So this time I said we would pre-approve it. Now that doesn't mean complete freedom. We had a branding exercise so it was look clear, what the colours would look like. We agreed the metrics, how many people how many businesses it would have and how much income it would generate. We sent Johnny on the best search engine optimization course, and we also insisted he'd be talking to the clients. We didn't know what the client said, but we did know he was having that conversation. And when I saw that website the night before it launched, it went up or it didn't, I didn't especially like it, right? If I said, what's this and what's that? But it was completely within the guidelines, right? And when we got the metrics a couple of months later, visitors had trebled and income had doubled, even without the benefit of my expertise. But that's because you had someone with real job ownership who had the trust and freedom. So think about that. Could you pre-approve something tomorrow? Because that's a real way to give people trust and freedom. Google did an interesting study on management behaviour. It's called Project Oxygen. And I'm going to ask you some questions. What they did was, being Google, they absolutely looked at the data. They absolutely looked at performance appraisals and all that kind of thing. And they came up with the 8 key elements of what made management behave, and they ranked them. And I'm going to give you 5 of those and ask you which ones you would go for. So number 1 is communication. Number 2 is empower, don't micromanage. Number 3 is be a good coach. Number 4 is show interest in your people, and number 5 is vision. Okay, so I'm going to ask you which of those you would think is the number 1. So, communication. Okay, empower, don't micromanage. Be a good coach. Vision, show interest in your people. Now, a lot of you have voted for more than one of those, haven't you? Okay. But actually, the number 1 was, I think, the one that got least votes in this one. Be a good coach. Who here has had a personal coach at any time in their career? Okay? One line on what they did for you.
Self-awareness.
Self-awareness.
Maybe think differently.
Think differently. Sorry?
Transformed.
Transformed you. Oh wow.
Accountable.
Accountable. Okay. Did they tell you what to do?
No.
Did they build your confidence?
Yes.
Yes.
Did they ask you questions?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did they help you find your own solution?
Yeah.
That is the role of the coach, but that is also the role of the manager. Right? Build confidence, ask questions, help you find your own solution. And if you shift the managers from telling people what to do to a coaching culture, it makes a huge transformation to the organisation. Now, at Happy, we believe that people should have joined their work 80% of the time. Right? And we measure it. It was originally 73%. It's now got to 87%. People at Happy find join their work 87% of the time. How do we enable that? A key part of it is the trust and freedom. A key part of it is purpose. But the other element is playing to your strengths. Gallup has asked over 1 million people, do you get to do what you're best at every day? Say yes to that. Anybody? Just give me a percentage.
50.
15? Anybody else?
5%.
5%? 10? It's really interesting how people don't expect it to be a lot, right? You're right, 50, it was 17%. 17%, only 1 in 6 of people get to do what they're best at every day. But Gallup also found that those who do get to do what they're best at every day are 35 to 40% more productive, right? So at Happy, we recruit to a job description and then we throw it away. We work out what people's actual talents are. So we had we've got someone called Nicole here who was recruited to an admin post, and she thought, well, that's really what I enjoy doing. And so instead, she works on apprenticeships, and one thing she could do would be to do one-on-ones with the apprenticeships, which is something that she really loved doing. She was certified in it and she was able to do that. And what she said when I chatted to her was, I just love the way Happy enables me to do something differently, to do something that I'm good at. So, my 3 key tips, anybody guess what they are from what I've talked about already? What are my 3 key tips? Anybody?
Develop a coaching culture.
Develop a coaching culture. Trust.
Enable and empower.
Well, yeah, maybe, but play to your strengths. So, get people to do what they're great at. Give them the trust and freedom to make their own decisions. And have the managers as coaches. Those are the 3 key elements that I would say to create a happy workplace. Okay, make sense? Okay, I'm Henry, I'm happy, I hope you are too.